ready?
Yeah, let's do this.
All right, welcome to episode 15 of the Greatness Podcast, brought to you by Sky Insurance Brokers. I'm Eric Scholey, and with me as always,
Bri Milani.
or by herself sometimes too, really the leader of all of this.
True.
So today we're doing something a little bit different. For episode 15, we thought it would be nice to take a small break here and really recap the amazing people and journey that this podcast and show has become. When we started this, as a company, we work with just a lot of talented people in our area, a lot of talented realtors, loan officers, and lenders. And, you get to know some of these people personally, or we do, working with them. And when you really start hearing their stories and, their backgrounds and what got them to really their profession and really how they've kind of crafted to become great, right? Greatness. Greatness in the sense of the name.
Yeah.
Great at what they're doing and how they're helping the community, helping people achieve their dreams. It's overwhelming. So I know that's how this whole podcast was brought and birthed, if you will, is just how we can get these stories out. How can we tell these stories of these amazing people? And I'm still blown away by really what this has turned into. How about you, Bri?
Oh, yeah. It's been incredible. And I think it's definitely gotten to get to know our clients on a whole different level. Because how often do you go into an office when you're trying to pursue business, right? To be like, how'd you get in the industry?
Exactly.
How long have you been in the, you don't talk about those kinds of things. And it's interesting. A lot of people had the same kind of reason they got in, but like with a twist.
Yeah.
And I found that funny. Like we would interview somebody and then before you know it, and they would tell why they got into the industry. And then we interview the next person and it's kind of similar, but a little different. So I think it's super fun because I don't think anybody purposely gets into the mortgage industry or insurance.
No one dreams about being an insurance agent, let's be honest.
Never thought I'd be here 10 years ago when I was in college. Let's be honest. So it's been cool. And I just think it definitely helps us get to know our clients a lot better, which has been fun. And then let them share their story too.
Yeah, no, I agree. And what's been fun with this is, with technology in our setup, we do a handful or majority of these in our office, but we're also able to get out there in their office, sit in their conference room and really get a feel for their company culture and see them in their environment and see them rocking and rolling. So it's just all the way around. It's just been for me, a really incredible opportunity.
Yeah, I agree. This has been great.
And I'm excited to see what this is going to continue to be. I know, as we're forming up our roster of future episodes to record, our list is pretty long and very talented. So it's just getting more and more excited as we continue to tell these stories and see what comes of this. So
yeah, I know when I posted last week, episode 14, I was like, wait, how are we already here?
Yeah.
I feel like we just started this and it's been incredible. It's such a good journey. And I think a lot of people are eager to share how they got into the business. And, even some people I've interviewed are like, I'm so nervous. I'm like, don't be nervous. And then once they get into it, they're like, that was easy. And I'm like, because, you know the story. I'm just going to ask you the questions. You know the story. You know how you got in this industry. You know why you're still in this industry. Correct. So it made it a little more comfortable for them. So anybody who's listening that's like, I'm nervous, I don't want to do it, because I've had people be like, I love you, but I'm too afraid. And I'm like, it's not that bad once you get going.
Agree 100%. Especially, these people are great for a reason. They're passionate about what they do. They enjoy what they do. So as humans, when you're passionate about something and you start talking about it, it's easy to get on a roll.
Right.
And that's what we see happen is exactly right. The first minute or two, you could see the nerves and then we dive into kind of their story and the ball gets rolling. And by the end of it, you forget the microphones are here, the camera's on. Armin basically disappears to me, goes up into the air, and
you've been like, sometimes I know people would say things and they're like, and it's like, it's fine.
Just let it roll. Let it roll.
Exactly.
Yeah. So like looking over our list, just kind of wanted to recap and touch on some of these. When we started this, I have a lot of friends in this industry that have really, through our partnership or previously, and I know you do as well.
Right.
But I, looking at that, I'm like, who do we start the first episode with? So I was very, very honored and happy. And I know it's someone you like very much as well.
Yes.
But honestly, one of my best friends, Kent Granith, was on. So he's a seasoned veteran.
Awesome.
He's worked at a number of places, has done excellent through his career, has been in management. Anyone that knows Kent, or if his name ever comes up, I've never heard someone say a bad thing about him.
You can't.
I mean, he's one of the most loved people in the area.
And I like to tell a funny story about Kent is that when I didn't work for Erik, he would always be like, Bri, you're so nice, but I'm all loyal to Erik. He's my guy. I'm like, fine. And we get rejection, and I never took it as rejection. I'm like, that's loyalty. And I love that about him. So here we are. I've been in the industry 8 years, never got a single thing of business from him, but I can't say a bad thing about the guy. He's so nice.
Yeah.
Such a nice guy.
Exactly. He is great. And, he at my wedding, he played the piano at my wedding. So
I still can't believe he plays the piano.
Him and I have great stories. He's an incredible musician, and just obviously a better friend and family man. So it was just really good to hear his story, see where he's developed, and he's been in it for 17, 18 years, somewhere right around there.
Quite a long time, I remember.
I know he's done a lot of great things in this industry, and I know he's still's got a lot left in the tank. So,
so it
was fun really getting to hear his story. And then I know episode 2 we had Tracy Ferris, and that's someone that you know pretty well.
Yeah, honestly, she's probably one of the longest clients I've ever had. I mean, she's so loyal, and she's such a nice person, and really genuinely believes that, okay, wherever Bri's at, I'm going. Like, she's amazing. And I'm like,
loyalty,
loyalty, very loyalty, very loyal. Yeah. And I think what's interesting about her is I knew how she got in the industry, but I hadn't heard it in a while. And the reason was her mom had gotten a loan through a loan officer who I know, and he's no longer in the industry, rightfully so. And he really just screwed her over. I mean, it was really sad. And so that's what inspired her. She was like a probation officer before that.
Wow.
Yeah, so
that's a pretty big career shift.
Yeah, just a totally different career shift. And she's like, you know what? I'm going to do this. And the one thing I love about her and the clients that we work with that she refers to us, they are so educated on what's going on. They know what's next. They know what to ask, the questions to ask. Like, she's really big on educating her clients. She's like, I don't need to do 1,000 deals a year. I just want to do what I can and educate people to get to home ownership. And I love her clients. She had one client she referred to us, and his birthday was in 2000. And I was like, what? I mean, it's amazing the outreach she has and like the following she has of clientele. So she was awesome to bring on the show, and I loved hearing her background. And a lot of people wouldn't know that she came from a whole different world before she got into this world. This crazy world.
No, exactly. And touching on that, I know, that's one of the successes is all these people, they really can speak to all different generations, right? So they do really well at someone in their 70s buying maybe a move down home to a 21-year-old buying their first house and everything in between. So finding people that can communicate to all those generations and excel is incredible. I think that's a common theme we're seeing with a lot of these people that we've had a chance to interview. And I know going down one to Ashley is interesting. So that was episode 3.
Episode 3 was Ashley Hughey.
Okay.
And I loved, tying in with Tracy and Ashley. Like Ashley's, I think, a little bit like a year or two older than me.
Okay.
And so it's interesting.
So she's a young buck.
Yeah, a young buck.
But I got to start doing that. I know I'm an older guy.
I know.
So
I'm like, okay,
forever I was a young buck, and now I've shifted into the older tier.
I think you're only 10 years older.
It's been weird.
I know. Yeah. I don't think I'm ready I'm not even ready to be 30. So, but Ashley was cool because it was cool from going from Tracy to Ashley because 2 different generations, 2 different worlds, and yet a very similar story as to getting into the industry. So it was interesting. And the cool thing about Ashley was she didn't even start in actually doing mortgages. So she started in doing more like marketing for Paramount, which is now Good Leap. Yeah. Lone Pal, Good Leap. Yeah. And so I thought that was interesting. She actually didn't even start and then just kind of was like, I'm going to take that leap of faith. Yeah. She had her son and she's like, I want the flexibility more, like just be able to take off when I need to pick up the baby when I need to. And then actually she was pregnant on our podcast and just had her baby a few weeks ago. So
fantastic.
I know I was kind of eager to talk about her because when we were talking, I was like, are you going to take any time off? She's like, yeah. I'm like, wow, good for you. Like not many people when they have a baby and they're a loan officer take time off. And she's, her team at Good Leap. They're amazing. She's like, I got a team behind me, Jamie and all that. Yeah. She's like, I'm good. So I'm like, good for you. That's awesome.
Oh, did she have a boy or a girl?
She had a boy, so it's her second boy.
Oh, okay, fantastic.
Yeah, so I saw her post.
Ashley.
I know. If you're listening, congratulations. I saw her post about it probably about a week ago at this point. But Yeah.
What a good way to get into the industry is to start on the marketing side.
Yeah.
Right. Because a lot of times that's the hardest part of any business. I mean, insurance as well as, going and finding clients or finding opportunities.
Yep.
So for her to start at that angle and then take a step back into the more, the processing loan side,
Right.
She had the tools to go out there and succeed. So.
Well, and I think her thought was, and she shared this, was I'm going out getting business or helping these loan officers get business. Why not just do it for myself? And she was working like more like a 9-to-5 clock in, clock out type of job. And then obviously when you have kids, her husband is very successful and has a very busy job. She's like, I like to have that flexibility. There's been times her and I've gone to lunch and she brings her son with her. Yeah. And I'm like, of course I don't care.
So cool lifestyle.
I'm not bringing my kids, but you can bring yours. Go ahead. So yeah, it was really cool. And it's interesting to see how she got in because it's, again, similar. I know she had said, she heard some people were about not getting good loans and things. And so that's why she kind of was like, I want to kind of get into this and see what it's about versus just doing the marketing side. So,
great.
Yeah.
So I know then we moved to episode 4, we had Taylor Hurst.
Yeah. And they actually came in on the same day.
Oh, okay.
And they work together quite a bit.
Yeah.
So Taylor refers Ashley.
Very nice. Yeah.
Oh yeah. She's wonderful. And probably has been the most energetic person we've had on our podcast.
Okay, yeah.
Not that anybody wasn't, but I mean, she's a wealth of knowledge.
Energy,
Oh, her energy is like next level. When I'm around her, and I'm a pretty energized person, I'm like on the next level because she's just a ball of energy. And, she does something that I don't think anybody on here really does. And she really just works with people in Placerville, that area.
Yeah.
And so she really
very
specializes.
Focused to a certain
That's like all she does is that high fire Placerville, that area, which is, unfortunately right now.
She also lives up there too.
Yeah,
right?
she
That's
lives
kind
up
of an
there.
area.
She has like goats and I don't even know, like all these animals. And she's like, it's hilarious.
Like Joanne Gaines of Placer County or
totally
El Dorado County, I guess, right?
Yeah. Yes. And it's funny. Every time I see a new post, she's like, oh, and this client, they got into escrow and I came in and I was wearing these boots and I had chicken poop on it. And I'm like, I just love how authentic she is. And she said that in her interview. She's like, this is me. Yeah. And she kind of had her realization of like, I only want to work with people who like me for who I am. I'm not going to put on a pair of stilettos and that's just not who I am. I'm going to come out with dirt on me and I'm going to show you a house, take it or leave it.
Yeah.
And most people that live up there, that's their lifestyle anyway.
Right.
So
it's relatable.
Yeah. It's worked out very well for her.
And I always saw her post on Facebook a lot before I actually met her.
Right.
So when I finally met her, that was one of my takeaways right away was just genuine and authentic. Right.
Totally.
So she definitely, you can see that the first time you meet her. And I think that obviously carries well for the market.
Oh yeah.
And really the way she wants to build her business, it's working for her.
Oh yeah, she's like one of the top agents out there.
Yeah.
So she's doing a good job.
Well, good. Good. So episode 5, we shifted gears and we went into my hometown, Loomis. So we went from Highway 50 over to the 80 corridor, and we interviewed Zach Ryan. This was an on-site one, and this was an adventurous one to say the least.
Very adventurous.
Right?
And much like Taylor, he pretty much said like, this is me.
Correct.
Take it or leave it.
Exactly. We've seen a lot of that kind of in the industry.
I appreciate that.
So I was actually introduced to Zach through Katie at Real Producers.
Oh, okay.
So our relationship with Real Producers, the top 500 real estate agents in the Tri-County area. And obviously Katie knew my connection with Loomis. But also I think after meeting Zach, just thought, oh, these guys would hit it off, right?
I mean, it makes sense.
Seemed like we'd be good buddies, I guess. So, and she was right. So I was blown away when I first met with Zach. He's building a talented team up there in Loomis, but he is exactly that. He has a focus of how he wants to run it. It's drastically different than the norm of real estate, like you were saying, buttoned up and all of that. He has a razor, parked in his warehouse / office. And, when I walked in, I said, this looks like the fun factory from Rob Dyrdek.
Yeah.
So, as we were, doing an on-site podcast there and we're cracking beers and, kicking back and
dropping F-bombs.
Yeah, that caught me off guard. Man, he came out and was just letting it rip, and we were like, okay, let's roll with it. Yeah, that's who you want to.
That's who he is.
Exactly.
And I
Nothing wrong with that. We're all adults.
I mean, we all drop F-bombs, right? But we don't drop them when we're sitting in front of a client. But if he does, and people appreciate that, I love it. It's good. It's awesome.
Well, I know their team's taken off, so it's
that's
just
great.
So exactly. They've found their groove. They have their message. They attract their clients, and they're doing something right because I know they're excelling really well. And,
you're right.
He's the leader of that team, And I know his team really loves him too. They rally and do a lot of things together. And, he had a car show not too long ago in Loomis I went up to.
Yeah.
So very involved in the community. And so I'll be excited to see how his team continues to grow. And I say going against the industry norm, but in excelling. So it's always fun. And you always want to cheer for people that really go out there and do it their way. And that's definitely when I think of Zach Ryan, that's what I think of. Yeah.
Who they are.
Yeah.
I love that. Yeah.
So, no, great. So if you haven't seen his office, definitely something to see. A basketball hoop, a gym, 2 stories.
He's like a gym that literally no one ever uses.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I'll come here.
It looks nice. Yeah.
Yeah, it looks
fun.
good.
So episode 6 was one that you did on your own, was Matt Keister, but I know it was in our intro video of you guys running doing the high five. So that's all you need to know about him. He looks like a fun guy. So what did you want to touch on him?
Awesome. It's funny, when I came in and talking to his office, there's a few loan officers in there that we work with, and every single one of them were like, oh no, we're not doing it. And he's like, heck yeah, I'll do it. And if you follow him on Instagram or Facebook, he does the funniest stuff. And it's great because I think that's like what, again, this industry needs is a little bit of like, okay, I know this is kind of a stale industry. We all do the same thing every day. He is so funny. He'll post these things and like these pictures of him on a surfboard doing a loan. Like, I can do a loan anywhere. It's great. And I like him because he's so free spirited, and I appreciate that. And he came from a more like buttoned up type of company years ago when, before the crash and stuff. And I think he kind of was the same way as the last two, Zach and Taylor. Like, I'm going to do this a little different. I'm going to make it my own and have fun with it. And he's interesting. I loved hearing his story. I had never really known a lot about him, and we really didn't work a lot with him. But he's like, I'll do it. And since then, we've worked quite a bit with him, and he's just great. He does have a lot of, in my opinion, like the people we've been working with, a lot of people who, like I said, are educated and just great clientele. And a lot of people who are buying up in those wooded areas. Sure. So a really good person to have on the podcast. He was hilarious. And I know Armin kind of got to see that funny side of him because he made us do the intro videos high-fiving, and he was like, heck yeah, I'll do it. No problem. Most people would have been like, no, absolutely
we're good. I'll wave at you across the room or something.
Hey. Oh no, he was all about it. So I always look forward to going into their office. He's now with Change Mortgage, and I always look forward to going in their office.
That's great.
It's a fun office. Yeah.
So after Matt, we went to episode 7, and that's who you hosted.
Yes, Tammy Marino, and it's interesting because 4 of these people that I'm looking at now are all up in, Folsom to Cameron Park Road or Placerville. So I liked Tammy's story because I actually didn't know how she got in the industry. I thought she just, stumbled upon it like most people. And it kind of was that she was in the dental field and just had this change of heart and knew somebody in this industry. And she was actually a processor for a long period of time and just was on the back end of the loans. And if you met her, I mean, you're like, no, you need to be out because she's got the best personality, says it like it is. Like, I love working with her. Our team, I know, loves working with her. And now, so she's at Envoy Mortgage, and when I met her, she was actually with a different company, with a broker, and she's been with Envoy for a couple years now. And she was telling me just how amazing it's been making that change to that company. There. Yeah, and it's different. I know she's just saying the broker world everybody wants to get into right now, and she kind of did the opposite. She got out of the broker world to have that more stability with Envoy. So her story was awesome, and her and I are a little bit of alike. And I think she jokes you're like me, but I'm 10 years older. She's got kids that are around the same age gap as my kids. So her and I clicked really well. And it's funny, when we walked in, she's like, you didn't tell me we were recording this. I thought, or videoing this. I thought, she's like, I almost wore yoga pants. I'm like, who cares? That's who you are.
Rock it.
Take it for what it is. So that was a good one as well. She's a firecracker. I love her.
That's good. That's good. And then we moved on to episode 8 was Angie Counts was on our episode 8.
Yes. Angie, I actually met through her first company she worked with for 5 years, and she was on that team for quite some time. And I met her through the team lead who we work with still now. And she made the move to EXP during COVID. And I actually saw a lot of people do this where that office, the office environment was no longer there. And so they're like, well, EXP is this cloud-based company where you can really work from anywhere.
EXP's been on fire. They tore it up to this COVID because they've got a lot of talented people.
And you look at somebody like Angie, and she's so talented. She's been in it 5 years. She's made Masters Club. I mean, she's been on she does Real Producers. Yeah. I mean, she's blown up.
She's the real deal.
Real deal. And she's so genuine. You talk to her, she's like, I'm up here, right? Like all the time. And she's like here. And I love that about her. Like she's a calming, peaceful. I'm not peaceful.
Much needed. Yes.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. Just like the last, 7 people above her, they were all high energy, this. And Angie's very calm. And I love that about her. I could tell, like, if she was my agent, she would never get me fired up about something.
I was going to say, it probably bodes very well through the process, especially the real estate market these last 6 or 7 months.
Yeah.
She's probably been able to guide her clients very well.
Yeah, and I would ask her,
approach.
like, what has been the secret? And she's like, just the right house is for the right client. And I'm like, gosh, you're such a sounding voice. I love like so calm. So yeah, I loved getting to know her. I didn't know her very well on a personal level. So it was really interesting to hear that she'd been in it. I didn't realize she'd been in it for 5 years, and she's on her own now at EXP, and she's killing it.
Great things.
Killing it. Yeah.
Good.
So I want to do number 9 because I know you have a lot to say about this guy.
Oh man.
So I met Char before I knew you, and same thing as Kent. He's like, Bri, you're great, but my boy is like, I'm loyal. And then I came to Sky, and I'm like, oh shoot, I didn't know it was that deep. Like,
yeah.
So yeah, tell us about Char because he's amazing. Such a great guy.
Yeah. So I mean, episode 9 was Char Rupel. He is literally a giant, one of the few humans that actually terrify me.
And that's bigger.
If you ever met him in person, he'll pop your knuckles or give you a bear hug and pop your back. So everyone talks about the back crunches. But yeah, Char is, a big personality, but a huge heart. One thing I love about Char is, and I know it's a common theme amongst all these other people, is processes. So you've mentioned a couple of times, clients will come and they're very educated on the process.
Yes.
Char's team is one of the best at doing this. They have a whole process built out that sets the expectations for really everything for the client to expect. So when we get involved, the clients come to us. It's like they already go like, oh yeah, I've been waiting to hear from you kind of thing. Yeah. And
so refreshing.
It just allows a much more genuine conversation, especially in today's market where, there's fires going on right now. And cost of labor and cost of wood materials and just everything is through the roof. Having the right coverage is more important than it's ever been in the forefront of news and media. Right? It's always been important, but maybe 5-6 years ago it was always what's the cheapest coverage and all of that. And
it wasn't talked about as much.
It wasn't talked about as much. So, his team does a very good job of this. And allows for us to do our jobs much more efficiently without having to break down that barrier. But, Char's another one, much like Kent. I go way back. He's been a friend for, 15 plus years and a really good friend of mine. So for me, it just, I love to see these people really become just stars, really all stars in the industry. And Char's definitely that. He's a high producer. Works extremely hard. His work ethic is right up there with anybody's. And
probably above most people.
Exactly. I mean, I'll get emails at 11 or midnight from him and Saturday morning and all the above. So he definitely pours his heart and soul into his clients, his practice, and what he does. And I know he works at a high volume, but yeah, I mean, Char's just a phenomenal guy, and I love to hear his story and where he's gone. And what he's doing and, the team he's building and all the future successes that are going to be, moving forward with him. So he was definitely a fun one to have. Another one we did in his office. And, I know he's got Jim Redden working with him now, and he's got a whole team there. And, there's a lot of good things rocking and rolling over there.
He's like a big teddy bear. You're like,
jumbo.
Like a jumbo. Yeah. You're like, okay, this guy's going to be intimidating. No way.
No, he's not. But he's loud. But he is loud and boisterous and yells, and he's hilarious.
In a good way.
You haven't met Char, highly recommend you meeting Char. Yes. He's a fantastic guy, and
listen to his episode.
Exactly.
Great.
He's always willing to help out.
Yeah.
Episode 10, we moved to Stephanie Brennan.
Yes.
So she is a phenomenal person. I would classify her as the shooting star or rising star because, a lot of these people on this list for you and I are people that we've either worked or known for a long time or have purposely developed a relationship over time with them. Stephanie came to our agency when she was looking to partner with an insurance agency, and she just happened to see, the really good reviews we have online. So she reached out and immediately hit it off with Megan in our office. Yeah. So I know they become like personal friends.
Yeah.
But Steffi's another one. So I for her being in the business, she, has a really good relationship with her clients. I know we've done a lot of business with her.
Mm-hmm.
The deals she brings us on, work out really well. We've been able to help a lot of her clients. And I know Karen and especially Megan, it's evolved into more than just a partnership now. They're truly good friends. I know they had a housewarming party that they were at, and I know they work on that level, it was just, you always love to see, right?
Yeah.
Because these people are great, and it's just nice when we can reach out on a whole nother level. And I know that's where Stephanie's at with some people on our team. And she's always been pleasant. And like I said, we just really love the opportunity. And it was just a unique way that she came to us. She actually seeked us out, which never happens.
Never.
So thank you, Stephanie Brennan. We really, really appreciate the partnership. And
and getting to talk to her is interesting because we're about the same age. And I love seeing the younger generation getting into this industry. A lot of younger people now are getting into real estate, not mortgage.
Yeah.
And so it's fun to see somebody younger, hungry. I mean, she's a hard worker. And every transaction, she adopts a pet. Not for herself, but she will pay an adoption fee. Every time she does a transaction, she just gets a new dog. Yeah, and I thought that was cool because a lot of times, we make a ton of money in this industry, and it's cool for people to give back. And her passion is animals, and so I thought that was I thought that was so cool. So she'll adopt a pet, and then she'll be like posted on social media, look, I adopted this pet, who wants it, type of thing. So
fantastic.
You don't have to pay the adoption fee.
Yeah.
So I love
great.
that about her story, and I loved her energy. Talk about just high energy, just she was wonderful.
So she actually seeks out the partner for the adoption. So she'll pay the fees and find the person. I
don't think she finds the person, but I think she'll like post it or like,
has a relationship there. That's
and I was like, have you ever had it where you adopt a dog or an animal for your client? They're like, yeah. So she'll tell her client, like, I'll buy you pay the adoption fee for whatever dog or cat or whatever. Yeah. So cool. Cause I love animals. Like before I had kids, animals, I mean, I still love them, but like were my everything. My dogs were my everything. So if I didn't have kids, I would totally do something like that.
Yesterday, I'd say I love animals. I have a little puppy that's like 15 weeks old.
No.
This morning, right now, I don't love animals. Let's just say that. So this morning was a rough morning.
Yeah.
But I'm sure tonight I will say I love animals. But yeah, so no, exactly.
Puppies are not easy.
Nah, they're
Puppies
fun.
are not
She's
easy.
a sweetheart. She's a sweetheart.
Your kids love them. That's all that matters.
Yeah, no, she's fantastic. So, episode 11, we moved to the power married couple, Kevin and Chastity Dawson. Now, I know this one was, they have an incredible story, and as anyone that listens to the podcast, I really recommend doing so. Chastity I've known since like first or second grade.
Yeah, I didn't
so
know
her and
that
I have
one.
known each other since we were very young. And just through life, somehow we always kind of just stayed somewhat in contact with each other. She's extremely intelligent, is a lawyer, has a law degree.
Yeah.
But her and Kevin, their story is phenomenal, and they're just the neatest couple.
Yeah.
They, you see how much they love and care for each other anytime they're around. But they're building a company together, a mortgage company together.
Right.
But I know, going into this, she had some incredible, stories and perseverance and things in her life that, she decided to share because it's a part of their journey and everything they do. And I know
I literally had chills.
No, it was a very emotional,
Yeah.
emotional episode. But it also speaks to them, right? They're genuine,
So genuine.
caring. Their entire business is about first responders and helping out. So, we talked a lot about that. What happened last year where, the news media outlets and all of that, police officers weren't seen in the best light.
Right.
A lot of companies would have kind of said, okay, let's just veer back right now and let's not be controversial. But they believed in everything they do and what they do so much that they continued to build there. So it was just incredible to hear their story.
Yeah, and it's huge. And I know them taking that stance, they're like, we know we'll lose clients, but what we gain from that is so much more than that client that we might lose. And I think that was the only time I've cried on the podcast. Their story is just remarkable, and how strong they are as people is just amazing. So I loved getting to know them. I did not know them at all before they came on, and what a story they have.
Yeah,
and amazing.
It's incredible. So we're going to take a quick break, and then when we come back, we're going to finish out our roster here because we got a few more good ones to talk about and kind of where this podcast is going in the future. So we'll be right back. All right, welcome back to the Greatness Podcast. Bri and myself have been sitting here and really just reminiscing, if you will. I wish I had some sweet tea here, but we should have done this on a porch or something somewhere. But just really talking about the first, 3 or 4 or 5 months of this podcast and the amazing people that we've got to interview. and just kind of, touching on their stories because it's been so incredible. So I know we're just talking about Kevin and Chastity Dawson and their incredible journey and what they're building. And I know they've expanded into a new office, but, we go to episode 12, which I was really excited when I saw, I know you did this one on your own, was Rich Manning. So
Yes.
pretty cool story with him. Do you want to share some takeaways from your episode with him?
Yeah, and every time you talk to him, he's Rich Manning, your 7-foot loan officer. I love it because he's
And he
branded.
is 7 foot, right?
He's 7. I mean, Char's tall.
Well, Char's 6'6", so he would look like a little baby next to Rich Manning.
Yeah, but he's a gentle giant. He's such a nice guy. Like, oh my gosh, such a sweet guy. And actually, my husband used to referee basketball, high school basketball. And Rich and I were like, we didn't even talk about he's a coach for Sheldon. Like, we didn't even talk about that in our podcast.
Sheldon High School?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So my husband had reffed him before, and I think that's how we met, or like why I said hi to him one time. I'm like, hey, my husband's reffed you. And I'm like, this could either go really good or really bad. But Rich is
your
like,
husband kicked me out of the game 3 weeks ago.
well, I think the coach of Sheldon, like the head coach, because Rich is an assistant coach, is like crazy, like not in a bad way. He's just like, and so Rich is
energetic.
like, oh no,
we call those coaches energetic.
Energetic,
Them,
yeah. Nick might have thrown him out. No, just kidding. I don't think so. But so that was the kind of common theme of how he and I met, was just basketball, and we're huge Kings fans. He was, in the NBA for quite some time.
Ex-NBA player. That's very cool.
Yeah, and I mean, you hear about people who are in the NBA or in a professional sport, and they're in it for a year or two. Like, no, he had a journey in the NBA, and he went to a couple teams, and really, I asked him, I'm like, how do you go from the NBA to this? Like, that doesn't, where did that happen? And basically, it was somebody he knew who had a mortgage company, and like, might as well try it out. His sons, he had his kids, and I'm sure that lifestyle from traveling constantly when it was just he and his wife.
It's hard to have a family in professional sports.
Yeah, in professional sports, how realistic is that? And I know he battled some injuries as well.
Sure.
And so I think he was like, it's time to do that. He wanted to do it for 10 years. He only made it 7. I'm like, only? Like, most people will never be able to say they were ever in a professional league. So it was cool to hear his story. And, now one of his sons is a Major League Baseball player. And the other one, so
the genes are strong.
Oh yeah, the other one's like, they all got college scholarships.
Yeah.
But the weird part is one played football, one played baseball, one played volleyball. So none of them stayed with the same sport. So, or wait, maybe it was basketball, not football. Yeah, it was basketball. But just crazy. Great story. And I joke with him. I'm like, tell me how to raise children, because all his kids are like outstanding. So, and talk about loans. Another person that I think it's kind of a common theme on here, that his clients, I just love working with his clients. We all do. Like, just a breath of fresh air.
Yeah.
Such good clientele that he has, because he really preps his clients, and he's such a great loan officer. So yeah, that was a fun one, a good one to listen to. But I was so bummed we didn't talk about him being a coach for Sheldon, because that's how we met, I'm pretty sure. So yeah, throw that out there too.
good little extra feature here on this podcast. That's great. So episode 13 is Emily Lockhart.
Yes. So her and I are really good friends, and she actually does business with a lender we work with. That's, I think, how we met as well. Just
Power team.
Oh yeah. So she's amazing. And her, I guess they're not married yet, but might as well call him her husband. They have a team. They actually just moved companies. So they've had a team for quite some time, and they've built quite an impressive resume, honestly. I mean, they're both top agents, and they've just been amazing. And she's been just telling me, you need to get into real estate. I'm like, no, I like insurance. I'm good. But yeah, her and I have been friends for quite some time, and it was cool to hear her story and kind of why she moved companies. And the company they're with now is really into like the new wave of marketing and technology. And I think that's huge these days, especially with COVID, has really changed that industry as a whole. And to be able to have those marketing, kind of like what we're doing, this marketing, to be able to talk to people and get across our message. Yeah. And so that was really what drew her to her new company. So that was a good one as well. And that one hasn't aired yet. So it'll be fun to listen back to, because I think her and I could have talked for hours.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. And then episode 14, we went on site again, and Nicholas Lucia,
that we learned how to say his name.
Yeah, exactly.
He did such a good job.
And he was nervous, I think,
He was nervous. Carla said he was nervous, and he had nothing to be nervous about. He killed it. He did such a good job.
Talk about a guy that is just tearing it up right now. I know he is helping a lot of people. His team is extremely talented, so his whole roster is loaded with stars. And he is like, I would put him right up there with Char as like, and I know he does this in his marketing, he's just grinding, right?
Hilarious.
He works
His
so hard and
marketing
he's
is
hilarious, but
hilarious.
yeah. That's what we touched on, that is marketing. So I know, I knew him when he worked at a previous Movement Mortgage. And then when he shifted over to Fairway, it's like he, let his tie down a little bit.
Yeah.
And his whole marketing plan changed. And I know we talked a lot about it in this episode. But I love it. Someone that loves to see what people are doing marketing wise, went with, what he loves, his passion, skateboarding, authentic. And he does, funny stuff, Captain Obvious,
and,
TikToks, and I know he's reaching a whole nother generation now.
Yeah.
And it's working for him. And I know he talked about when he first was doing it, he's thinking, oh, great, is this really going to, is it going to blow up my whole business? And no one's going to want to work with a guy that wears Captain Obvious, jackets and skateboards around and stuff. But obviously he found it was the opposite, and he's really taking it to another level.
Well, and going back to Taylor, Zach, all these people, common theme. It's like, this is who I am. And that's really what Nick said. He's like, this is me. And if you don't like it, I don't know what to tell you. You don't need to work with me. And I liked hearing his story because I honestly didn't know that 6 years ago, probably, he was doing a whole different, he was in the loan industry, but a whole different model of business, more, telemarketing, call center type of thing. And then he shifted his business about 6-7 years ago. He said
something like that.
It wasn't very long ago. And I'm like, wow, that's
but for him to do it as long as he did, because he did. So anyone that's been in any of those kind of environments, the burnout factor is huge. And when I say burnout factor is, if you're 2 years in it, you're a veteran basically, because it's a grind. It's hard. You have to be focused. You have to be diligent. And he did it for a decade at a high level. So if anyone ever questions that man's work ethic, his resume, you could throw it on there and it's going to speak for itself.
Totally.
So he's carried that into his practice, and you're seeing him apply those lessons he's learned. And he's doing some great things over there. And I know we're doing a lot of business with them, and just like a common theme is his clients are fantastic.
Oh, yeah.
They have a really good process in place. I know Carla does a really well job.
He has literally the world's best assistant. Yeah. I love her. And, he doesn't call her his assistant. I forget what loan partner.
Or her boss, or his boss.
His boss.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
So, so they have really something special going, and I am very excited to see their continued growth. Yeah. It seems like they've kind of found their groove in their home at Fairway as well. Yep. And it's working really well for them. So it's just been great, and I love that episode is fantastic. So I welcome anyone to go listen to that one as well. Yeah. Among all these, really, they've all been really good. Everyone has great. And it's
all been so different. I think is a cool thing. Just looking at this list, it's like everybody's has a different story, but a lot of it is the same, but in a different twist. And I like that. And, it's funny. You can relate people to people. You're like, gosh, that person, their stories are so similar, or how they are so similar. So it's been quite a journey.
It's been a really good journey. And I'm excited as we're starting to build, this is episode 15 here. I know you and I have kind of our list of what will be, the podcast will be recording and releasing. I'm excited to see those names on there. Yeah. But also just the common theme. So what I've found, and even looking right now, and as we're talking about it on this show, is, all these people obviously are really good at what they do, right? That's why they're on the Greatness podcast. So they're not mediocre or barely getting by, because it wouldn't really represent what the show is about. But really just how genuine these people are, how caring, but then also from a partnership standpoint, they understand like what we bring to the table and how we can work together. So, I was just the other day having lunch with Rusty, who's on our future show here very soon. And that's what he was just talking about. He's like, I want to, on the podcast, I want to talk about, how important you guys have played in building my practice. He's like, some of the loan officers just don't get it. There's a disconnect, but insurance is a major piece, and you don't want your clients to be, left up to a call center or something like that. And like we talked about earlier with what's going on in California with the fires now, it's more and more important. But, you get these people that truly understand the relationship, and bringing in those supporting team members to their practice, whether it's a realtor working with really good lenders and insurance agents, or title companies, or lenders working with all-star realtors and, Sky insurance brokers, but it's just a common theme. So I'm very excited. I know, we're going to be finishing out the fourth quarter of this year and just seeing, who we have on this roster coming up. The next 15 episodes, basically.
I know, it's going to be weird to be like, we're on episode 30.
Yeah, soon will be episode 107 or
oh
something.
My
but
gosh.
yeah,
it's been amazing. And I really do look forward to getting more people on the show. Yeah. And it's interesting because I think I've gotten a lot of texts like, hey, I want to get on. And I'm like, absolutely. Like, we welcome anyone to come and just share your story. Any of our referral partners we work with, share your story, get it out there, because really it's your clients want to hear about it too, is the thing.
Oh, 100%.
And a lot of people we've talked to like, oh, share it on their social media, because people don't normally know. And I know when Tracy shared hers, she had like 10 people be like, I didn't know this.
Exactly.
Oh my gosh, it's so cool. So it's really an opportunity for people to share and be genuine of who they are.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and I know we've done that, some of the client referrals, when I've emailed back and forth with the client, I'll say, hey, by the way, like, did you know Char was on our watch this podcast? You'll learn a little bit more about him that you maybe don't know. So it's a nice way for us to really try to strengthen those relationships too. So, so anyone that's listening, if you're interested in getting on this podcast, please reach out to Bri and myself, and we would love to get you on the calendar, because we're having fun doing this. And, we have no end in sight. So this will continue to go. And we'll continue to rock and roll. But I just thought, looking back here as we're kind of going through all these episodes, it's been a fun journey.
It has been. I'm excited to be part of it and to continue. Yeah.
So we will keep sharing the message. We'll keep bringing the stories of all these great lenders, loan officers, and realtors in the Northern California area. But let's keep on trucking, I guess, as Will Ferrell would say in old school. Keep on trucking.
Keep on trucking.
All right. We hope you enjoyed the show, and we look forward to bringing the next roster of star-studded, talented people out. Hope you have a great day. Thank you.